So take a quick look at this. I'm going to show you some more. So take a look at these applications and if you want, and let me know what all of these applications or these platforms have in common. Anything? All right, I'll ruin the surprise. Location, maps and locations. So for all of these, location component to it. It's either knowing where you are, where something else is, where your package is, the person you swipe right or left on is, where your food is. It's knowing where stuff is super important. So Here Technologies, we're a mapping company. Some folks are familiar with us, some aren't. The name that we had for the longest time was Navtech. So that seems to ring bells for some folks. And we started in 1985, so we've been around for, I don't know, what is that, 36 years now, I think. And we were at Navtech for the longest time. Nokia bought us in 2008, and for, what is that, 4 years, if I'm doing the math on this thing right, Nokia owned us. So we were Nokia based out of Finland really quick. So if you used to have one of those Nokia brick phones and had some maps in it, you were using our maps. And then in 2012, BMW, well, I guess between 2012 and 2015, BMW, Audi, and Mercedes all came together. It was the first time that those three competitors agreed on anything. They came together and purchased Here Technologies, and they renamed it Here. That's it's a German sense of humor for you. So apparently the parent company of Here is, I've heard, is Here and There. And anyways, they think they have a good sense of humor. So we're owned by them, but we have a bunch of stakeholders. Our main thing that we've focused on forever since we started was in-car navigation systems. So we've done maps for car companies, the automotive industry, and that's been our historical focus. Lately, however, we've branched the last, I don't know, 8 years maybe, we've really branched into all kinds of other stuff. So if you ever track your package on Amazon, if you've ever noticed when it gets really close, you can get that last mile tracking and see where it is in your neighborhood. That's on a Here map. Bing Maps is on a Here map. If you do any GIS stuff, most of those platforms, such as Esri platforms, those are all on Here maps. Garmin devices, they're one of our biggest customers, so they use Here maps. So we're the big mapping company that you probably use every day, but you've never heard of, which is kind of cool. The other big one to point out that a lot of people do use in their development is delivery. So FedEx, Amazon, and UPS, the three big delivery companies, all use Here's maps and data to make their deliveries and route their vehicles. At the end here at the bottom, you can see, remember if I can remember this hotkey. Hey, there we go, and then it froze. These are some of our other investors too. Intel is kind of a cool one we've had jump on board recently. There we go. There's some bigger pictures. Okay, let me jump into some of the more fun stuff. So our map, we kind of, I'll do that analogy a little bit later. So this is what we call a real world index. So this is what we base our database off of essentially. So we have a lot of different data sets that are feeding real world index. So maps at the bottom being kind of the main one. Geocoding and search, which is essentially finding somewhere on a map. Routing, traffic, transit is kind of a cool one that I've been working on quite a bit lately. So making maps look cool and putting them on your websites or in your applications. And the indoor maps is kind of a newer one for us as well. I would go more in depth into the API, but considering the audience I'm speaking to, I think you probably have a good idea of what it is. If not, speak up, let me know if you have any questions, but essentially we have APIs and SDKs that are all based around these different data sets here that you can pull from our real world index, if you will. Before I keep going, if you have any questions, feel free to either jump off mute and message me or say something, or throw something in the text box there, the messaging app, and Alonso will address that, and then when we switch, I'll take a look at that messaging board. So just give me questions.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on that also, Austin. So definitely, if you guys have any questions, jump in there, and don't be shy.
Yeah, and Jim, feel free to interrupt me if someone wants to ask a question.
Yeah, no worries.
Too. That's cool. Cool. So with APIs, and I'm sure you're all developers and you use MuleSoft, so you're probably aware of how this works. But to give you context in the geolocation sphere, so let's say that you want to build a ride-hailing application, so Uber. or as I heard them refer to it on Family Guy yesterday as Uber, which is good. But anyways, say you want to make a ride-hailing application. So the first piece, it's when you're working with APIs, it's all modular, so it's piece by piece. So you can't just say, give me directions from here to there. You have to start, basic and build on top of it, which you're familiar with as developers. So the first piece of that would be using our positioning API as an example. And that's going to tell you where you are. So that's going to use the phone's GPS to plot a dot right on your phone, say this is where I am, and the phone now knows where you are. But as you can see in that cool little image there, that's just a green dot on a blank screen. So the next piece is you have to plug in the Maps API. So that's going to put a base map underneath that dot, and now you've got some reference to it. So now you can see that you're, what is that, like Franklin and Noble, maybe? Yeah, so now you can actually see where you are. The application can see where you are as well. So the next thing is you've got a user who wants to type in where they're going, right? So I want to go to the American Museum of something. So this is actually two APIs put together. So the search API will help you autofill that. So you can go to American Museum of the American Gangster or American Museum of Natural History or whatever it is. And then once you hit that in, it'll geocode it. So it'll turn that name into an address and then put that on the map. And then lastly, you got to find one of your drivers that's using your app to go send to that person. So you've got to find the nearest driver. So what you'd be using then is our Isoline Routing API, which I believe Alonso is going to give us a peek at the end. And I'll show you a screenshot of it in a second here as well. We'll give you an idea of who's around you and which card you can send to that customer to take them to the American Museum of the Museum of American Gangster or whatever it may be. So again, it's a modular architecture. So one of the base of all location APIs, and one of the ones that's available with the MuleSoft is the Geocoder API. So there's the Geocoder API, and the other one is the reverse Geocoder API, and they're pretty self-explanatory. So a geocoder is you type in 1234 Main Street or 72 Noble Street here in Brooklyn, and it returns a latitude and longitude referenced to the program to know where you are. Our reverse geocoder is doing the exact opposite, a lat and long into an address. And when you might do this, for example, is if you've ever been on a map or either for yourself or looking at where you want to go, and you've held your thumb on the screen on that map, and then it pops up a location and an address for you, that was just reverse geocoded, where it took that lat long that you pressed on and gave you the address. So again, those are the two, geocoder and reverse geocoder are the two that you can use directly. They're connected with with MuleSoft. Yeah, I'll show you this real quick, but I won't ruin Alonso's party too much here. But essentially, here's the question of which drivers are nearby. So that last piece of that modular architecture to figure out who can I send to get from point A to B. So say your customer is the person on that blue dot, and you've got two cars, one on the left or east, and one on the backwards, one on the left, one on the right, west, east. And you're trying to figure out who's closest. And if you look, just by looking at it, they look pretty equidistant. They look pretty close. But one of them is going to be distance-wise, driving time and traffic-wise closer. So if anyone wants to come off mute, they can, but just tell me what your guess is. Do you think it's the car on the left or the right? You could throw it in the chat too, and Alonso can kind of laugh at it and see who's right and wrong on it. But yeah, tell me who you think. Who's closest to the customer? Who can get there quicker?
We have a left. Or we have a right. Yeah, we have one of each at this point. Oh, two more lefts. Yeah, it looks like left is winning. I think people are.
Okay, the guy who said right is our winner. So it's the guy on the right. So I'll explain why. So I'm an East Coast transplant. So I've lived on the East Coast for about 4 or 5 years, and I've been to New York probably just about as many times. And so I'm more familiar with New York now. So now looking at that map without doing the analysis, I can tell you, before I would have had no idea. So for those of you who are not familiar with New York, this big, long chunk of land here in the middle, that's Manhattan. This over here is Brooklyn, and so you have to cross the East River here. So the reason why this is it's going to take a lot longer for the person on the left to get there is they're going to have to use the Brooklyn Bridge or I think this is the Manhattan Bridge, the Long Island Expressway. They're going to jump on some sort of bridge to get across the river. The guy just jumps off the freeway. He's already in Brooklyn. So we can see that here where his drive time is, so if this is a 5-minute drive from this guy. So we punch in what areas can he get to within a 5-minute drive, and these are his locations. And that falls, our customer falls within that ISO line. So pretty cool. And again, Alonso will show us a live demo of that in a little bit. We like to show this to other folks. We have integrations with third parties, all the big ones, Amazon Web Services, Oracle, AP, Azure, and for you folks, most importantly, MuleSoft, hence the Salesforce little cloud up there. This is yeah, I'm not going to ruin this. I think there's a little bit. We'll get into that later. So quickly, just how in the world do we make our maps? So data collection, we maps sort of as a soup. So we have data that comes in from all kinds of places. So when we've been around for 30, 40 years, and we've been collecting data of every road on the entire planet for that long. And we continue to do so because there's new roads, addresses change, apartments are built, there's change happening all the time. So keeping our map data as current as possible is vital, but it's also a huge undertaking. So we have cars, kind of like the Google cars that you see driving around, have big old LiDAR cameras on them, and they just drive around taking images, LiDAR pictures, slope, all kinds of cool information just to store in our database. There's sensors at the bottom, but those cars also have to kind of detect signs that they can see, stop signs, lane markings, that kind of stuff, which is really cool. Collaborative, which is with Map Creator, and Alonso works pretty closely with this in Latin America and North America, actually, where we have folks that are just map enthusiasts that get on our maps and they're allowed to make edits to our maps where they know in their neighborhoods or their cities where there's changes that need to happen. And they submit it to us, and then we have a moderator who can take a look at it to make sure, but they're the feet on the ground. We might not have an employee anywhere in Alabama, Mississippi, or Louisiana. So if we've got someone in Shreveport that's telling us there's 3 new streets, they're probably right, and we have no idea. And the last part, which I actually do quite a bit, works with data partnerships. So we work with counties and cities and states all over the world to get that kind of information. In order to get what we call points of interest, or POIs, kind of in the geography world, we work with companies to get us new restaurants, hotels, parks, anything that people might want to go to that's a point of interest, churches. We'll get that information as well from partners who will get us that data to make sure our stuff is up to date. And this is a snapshot of some of those main data types that go into the platform. So the basic ones are at the top there, streets and addresses. But then towards the bottom, there's kind of some cooler stuff. So census boundaries, tolls, which are used a lot by truck fleets. So if you've got, 200 vehicles in your fleet that are driving all over the country all the time, tolls can tack up pretty quick and add up. So we've got tolls in there so folks can estimate their costs, 3D landmarks, and all kinds of other great data types that you can have access to with our APIs. So I'm going to stop sharing my PowerPoint here. And so here's the surprise with our colleague Nitin. So Nitin Yadav is out of India. He is our in-house MuleSoft expert. So Alonso and I actually know just about nothing about MuleSoft, except what we've had to learn from doing a couple of these demos. But Nitin is actually the one that works with it. Nitin is a contract employee of here, and his contract ended yesterday. So he actually, though, was gracious enough to pre-record his portion of the demonstration he did for the folks in San Francisco. So I've got his pre-recorded demonstration all ready to go. So it's 9 minutes. Let me pause that. Let me pause that. So yeah, it's just even though he's not here, I have to give a shout out to him. The last time he joined at 6 a.m. for the San Francisco demo, and then the second time he took the time to create a demonstration for his last or second to last day, so we could do this. So I'm gonna press play. Jim, you just let me know if for some reason the audio is not very loud or coming through. But if not, sit back and enjoy the presentation.
Austin, there's one question in the chat, so just have a look at that while the demo is going.
Oh yeah, please. Sure. No, let's hear it. Let's do it first. Let's hear it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Albin asked. He's talking about his job, which is to integrate non-SAP apps with SAP. So, do you guys have any use cases of a scenario where you're doing integration between SAP and here?
So particular use cases I'm not aware of, but I can look at some. But we are already connected. So if you're an SAP user and user databases, the connection's already there. So there's no extra work you have to do with the databases. It's already a native connection.
Okay, I also see that Alonso.
I just put his Sorry, I just posted something that it's related.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Good question,
cool. Thanks,
Alvin.
Alonso.
Thank you for that.
Cool.
Nope,
Anything
I think
else,
we're ready
Jim?
to roll.
Okay, cool. So here's the presentation, and it looks like he's starting off on the developer portal, the thing we gave you the link to earlier.
And the integration that we have done with the MuleSoft Endpoint Exchange. Here provides APIs and products in the geolocation space, such as routing, map rendering, geocoding, search, telematics, and things like that. All this information is available on the developer portal in the product section. We currently provide three plans on the portal. The first one is the freemium, which is a free plan, does not require a credit card, and gives you 250,000 transactions per month for free. This is good enough to build applications and even run production applications on this, as long as you're on.
Hey, Austin, I think we just lost audio.
Okay, try this again.
Now let's talk about some use cases.
How about
Yes,
that?
These are some of the common use cases that people use our products for. The first one is finding a route from point A to point B. This could be as simple as finding a navigation direction for a car from point A to B, or it could be for a person to walk from point A to B. We also have support for ferries, tolls, and public transportation system in that. So all of that can be used as part of the routing API. Then we have the Geocoder API, which can help with the next set of use cases. Let's say you have an address, a customer's address, and you wanted to get a lat-long coordinate for that. Geocoder can help you do that. The reverse Geocoder API is exactly opposite of that. It helps you get address given a lat-long location. It gives you the nearest address that is available, which matches that lat-long. Then we have the other use cases, again, using the Geocoder and reverse Geocoder APIs. You can clean and correct addresses if you have a database, or if you are accepting free-form text from a user, or an address from a user, and you want to correct them and make it structured. You can use the Geocoder API for that. Then we have address verification, same as cleaning and correcting addresses. The same API can be used for address verification. It will give you a score as to how good a match it is to an actual address that it has. Then Geocoder also has an endpoint for autocomplete, which can be used to improve the user experience in apps that accept address as an input. So talking about the developer support, we have the libraries available for multiple platforms. We have the JavaScript library, which is available for integration into web applications or browser-based applications that can render maps and then also use these APIs internally to render routes, or just simply put markers on the map. Then we have the mobile SDK, which allows you to integrate these mapping services and APIs into mobile applications, both on the iOS and Android platform. Now let's talk about the endpoint integration. If you navigate to the endpoint exchange, click on provided by MuleSoft, then search for here. You will be able to see the API listed there. Let's just look at this one now, which will be using your Geocoder and search API. As you click and navigate, on the left side, you will see all the endpoints. If you navigate further inside that, you will see all the actual endpoint and the parameters supported by the endpoint. It will also tell you whether it is whether parameter is required or not, and also has information about each parameter, including the type and the example parameters for them, or example values for those parameters. You can actually use the mocking service to try it out here. or simply use the browser extensions to trigger an API request. Now, before using any of these APIs, you need to get the API key. This is available on the projects page once you sign up. After you sign up and navigate to the projects page, you will see these sections here. The first one is JavaScript, which is used by the JavaScript library. If you scroll down further, you will see one for REST. This is the one we'll be using in the demo. So you can go ahead and create an API and get access to the API key. We can click to copy into the clipboard for now. From here, we head to the design center where I will give a demo of an example workflow that I have created. It is quite simple. The workflow starts by watching a FTP server. If a file is uploaded to the FTP server, it takes the data of that file, runs it through the geocoder, and then writes the output back to another new file in the same server. Let's open this designer, the workflow in the designer, and then let's go across each component to see how it has been set up. All right, so this workflow is ready and already running in a temporary environment. We'll get to that demo in a bit. Before that, let's talk about each step and how it has been configured. I have the FTP connector here. I have already set the server information here. It currently watches the home directory since nothing has been specified. And all it does is it reads the or checks the server. The moment there is any file uploaded in it, it will trigger the next step. And the output of this step is the file content. Now, as a second step, I've added the geocoder. The geocoder takes a couple of things as input. One is, of course, the API key, which is mandatory. And then the other parameter it takes is the query, which is a free-form text field. I have currently set it in a way so that the output or the content of the previous step, the file connector, will go in as the query to this particular parameter. I'm not going to set any of the other parameters, just leave it to the defaults. And then the output of this will be a JSON structure, a sample from a previous run that you can see. Now we will be extracting some data from this and storing it back into the file in the third step. Now the third step is again an FTP connector, but this time with the right operation. It is, I've already configured the FTP settings and set the path to a file name so that this file is created. And for the content, I've defined a simple JSON structure, which has these 6 fields. Each of them is coming from the previous step. The payload here represents the output of the geocoder, and we saw a sample of the geocoder. We are extracting data from there, currently limited to the address. We could potentially add the lat long here, but for now we are not. So that's about it. Now, this is the workflow that we have set up. It's already running. We can do a quick test and see how it works. I've already configured the FTP server and have it ready here. As you can see, there is a file called data to geocode. This file contains just 2 words, Space Needle. This is a very popular tourist place in Seattle, and we are going to map this to an address at lat long in this demo. To initiate the workflow, we'll have to copy this and upload this to the FTP server. Once that is done, you should see it go through these, and you'll get the green tick marks if the workflow is complete without errors. In addition, at the end, the new file is expected to be created, which is this file here. We will have to download and see what output we get. Now, when I open this file, you can see the particular landmark Space Needle has been encoded to an address here. A quick search in any of the mapping apps will tell you 400 Broad Street map is the Space Needle. Going back to the connector, if you open the geocoder and look at the output, you can see the output that came, the response of the last API call in the workflow. We searched for Space Needle, and this is what we actually got. We did extract a partial extract of this, and then save that into a file. But you can see all the data that we could have potentially used, including the lat and long from here. This is the scoring that I was talking about earlier, which allows you to do address verification. So that's all there is. There are a whole bunch of output attributes available for you, which are documented on the documentation page of the developer portal. You can go through that to understand what all are the possibilities there. As I said, developer portal documentation also has information about a lot of other APIs that we have. Feel free to browse through them, and if you have any questions, you can reach out to any of us. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, there we go. So normally I'd say if you have any questions, or ask if you had any questions, but as I said, I'm not neither Alonso or I are huge MuleSoft experts. But that being said, I do want to give, let me stop sharing my screen so you stop seeing that infinity mirror. I do want to give Alonso some time so he can show you some demos of what these APIs look like live. If you do have any questions just about the developer portal, that page, the landing stuff, I'm more than happy to answer that kind of stuff. Pricing, I know a little bit about that, but otherwise, I'm going to hand it off to Alonso in Mexico City to show us some demos.
Great, Austin. Also, if we do have any questions, just relative to the Mule APIs, can we go ahead and get those over to you, and maybe get know, even if it's afterwards, we can send out an email.
Yeah. And I'll I'll put my email in the message here. I'll message it out. So if anyone has any MuleSoft specific questions, shoot me an email and I'll look into it, and I'll get you connected with the right person.
That'd be great.
Yep.
Thank you. All yours, Alonso.
Okay. Hello. Can you see my screen now? Okay, great. Well, hello everybody. I'm Alonso from Mexico City, and I'm explaining you how this actually works. How can, like, if you want to use one of our APIs, how it will look like. So first of all, I'd like to begin with Geocode and reverse Geocode. Austin already talked about it a little bit. So Geocode is when you type an actual address, you will get the lat and long. And otherwise, if you just type the lat and long, you will get the actual address with the street name and the addressing and other things. Like here in Mexico, we have something we call colonias, that it's like a neighborhood. So you get all the information that you need for the destination you want. So I'm going to show you another example.
Hey, if anyone wants to follow along, I'm going to post a link.
Did you pardon?
Yeah, sorry. I'm going to post a link to the two examples that Alonso is sharing right here for you to follow along.
Yeah, Austin, we're getting a little bit of an echo on, actually, it may be the Bevy platform, because now I'm hearing myself echo. All right, I'm going to go on mute.
So if I type an actual lat and long, I will get the address from the point I'm looking for. So here, if I type the lat and long for the Houston Museum of Natural Science, I will get the address that it's 1200 Herman Drive, Houston, Texas. Then you will get the zip code and the country and the state. So this is really useful when you don't know the actual address. I heard that it's somebody from Costa Rica that I mean, probably you don't know, but in Costa Rica, addresses are not like in the rest of the world. Like in Central America, they use different things. Also in Colombia, they are different than in the other parts of the world. So it is really useful when you don't know the address, but you get like, oh, I live in front of the museum or in front of this hotel. So it will be really useful when you do that, and you will get the actual address so you can send or receive that information. So also we have something that is really useful, that it's the autocomplete when you are doing some geocode. Also related to this, we have batch geocode. That is when you have a really big amount of lat and long, you can just submit it and it will get automatically will create all the addresses you are looking for. And for example, if you are in a country like Mexico and we don't have the addresses because we don't have address in all the streets, you will get the middle point of that street. So it's really useful also for locating and for delivery. And well, here is something that we have that it's called autocomplete. What is it? Well, when you are looking for an actual address, you start typing like you do when you look for something on a map. You begin typing, like I type 245 West Randolph, and you can see that it automatically gives me a lot of options. So I already know that I'm looking for 425 West Randolph Street in Chicago. So I just type and it will take me out, and you can use it like this is for examples, but it's useful for every part in the world. So you also can display different languages. So I keep typing and I select my mouse is not working today. So this is our office in Chicago, and it will take me where our office is, and it will show me the lat and long of the country. Sorry, from the location I'm looking for. And as I said, you can display in other languages. And I also can use it for restricted areas for searching. Like, for example, here here in the Chicago area, but I can do it in any other place. And also, if I type again, and I also can use the country filter. It will show me where the lat and long is for the place I'm looking for. So that is about the autocomplete, and it's really good because when you are using other maps, when you are typing every single letter, you will get a transaction consumed, and with here, when you just finish typing and or just select, like again with the same example, I don't know, in Albuquerque. Until you click on the desired address, you will get the transaction consumed.
Hey, Alonso.
Yep.
Real quick, I'm going to ask you a question. Here, let's see. Okay, I think that's
Just give me an address and I will, please. Oh, okay. Is it spelled properly? Or I don't know, I don't think the capital will be easier. Here is an autocomplete, but using AdminBoundary. So I just type Islamabad, that is the capital of Pakistan, and I get it. And if I go by reverse geocode, and it will change. I can go again with the same example, Islamabad, and I get all the information. Then we have something we call isolines. And for example, let's say in the so what is an isoline? An isoline will create a polygon linking same figures with the same amount. It can be like kilometers, or it can be by time or by meter. So let's say that I want to do an isoline for 8 kilometers with a car. Then I click on search, and it will tell me how long I can go from Empire State Building within 8 kilometers that's what I asked for. But let's say that I also want to know where I can go by time. So I'm gonna say, like, I don't know, like, let's say like you have an ice cream truck and you wanna know until where you can go before your ice cream melts. So you know that you have 38 minutes for your ice cream to be good. So you just type, you go by minutes, and then you can go the travel time and just click on search. And in 30 minutes, you can go until Newark. But also you can use it for, I don't know, like a last mile delivery. And it will be like by walking or by bicycle, and it will be by meters, and it's smaller than kilometers. So I don't know, let's say like how long can you go in 1,015 meters? You search, and you can go from Empire State Building until this ferry terminal or until Hell's Kitchen. And you also can select that it's pedestrian. You go by search, and it will tell you, well, it's almost the same. Then I would like to explain you another one that is related with isolines and with something we call geofencing. So let's say that you are expecting a really important delivery. Like in this example I created, NASA is waiting for something really important. So also you can use it by unit, by kilometers, or by minute. And it will create me a geofence, like telling from how long or how far. It can be like, I don't know, I want the geofence to send me an advert, some reminder or an alert that my truck is coming. So I said like 3 kilometers. So when I create this one, it will be like the truck coming into my geofence, and it will tell me when it is inside my geofence that I just created. It can be like kilometers or by minutes. So it will tell me when it's approaching to the destination, so I'll be aware. But also we can use it all the way around. Like, I don't know, you can create some geofence on a highway, and it will send an alert when the truck or the device you are tracking is outside of the geofence you created from the highway. So you will be noticed that something is wrong, right? Like, why my truck is outside of the highway. And also related with this, sorry, I would like to explain some really useful API that we have, that it's truck. Let me find it. It's over here. Because in here we have this really unique product that it's called trucks, and it will tell you all the height, and I don't know if it's some kind of restriction inside the city, like I don't know, like hazard materials or the height or the weight. It will tell you, and it will create you the exact route that you are looking for. For example, let's say that we are sending something from Boston. Oops. To Lombard Street, that you know that it's a really particular shape street. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I just moved my. So if I use it using restrictions, here you can tell like it's not going inside the street because trucks are not allowed out there. They can go into this particular street because of the shape, so the truck won't be able to get inside. And it will take me to the closest point my truck can get in. So you can play with all these kind of particular situations you have, like let's say you have some hazard materials like explosive, organic, radioactive, and also you can move the height and the weight. You can say like it's a really long truck of 5 meters, or you can also ask to avoid toll roads or motorways or ferries, and you can create different kind of scenarios with the routing. So these all are the presentations I have for you today. I hope they are really helpful for you.
Yeah,
Great.
This is great. That's great. I think we do have a couple of questions. Austin, I think this may have been a fun question, but Igor asked if his Audi uses the same APIs to show his way home.
That's a question. So yeah, let's try this. Yeah, Jim and Alonso, will you try going on mute? Let's see if that works. I think that's better. Okay, maybe that's what it was. Okay, cool. So yes, so in addition to being one of our owners, if you will, Audi's also one of our customers. So yep, they would definitely use that Geocoding API to get you home in your car for sure. Alonso, the other question that let me find it here.
About if the countries are limited in the listing.
Yeah, I think it was like 5 or 6.
Yeah, it is not, but it's because it's a website for examples. It is limited for examples, but if you are actually using it in, you can use it in any country, but it is just limited because it's just for examples.
I actually was wondering the same thing when I was looking at that drop down. That was a great question. Jim, I think I got the remaining two. Is there any else that it looks like I missed?
I've got one question from myself. Alonso, one of the things that that I can think of from an energy perspective, like in the energy industry, one of the things that you guys probably have heard that Texas had this big ice storm, right, and knocked all these power, things off the grid, and so we were without power for a long time, right? So one of the other things that they do, though, is they track lightning strikes and then figure out how far away from their distribution poles that these lightning strikes occur. So as you were describing that ISO line, it occurred to me that, that might be a good use case where, but it would require the combination of 2 points. So I'm just wondering how is the API structured now? Would it be structured in a way where you could take a lightning strike and look at let's say a 2 mile radius around the or a 2 mile ISO line around the lightning strike and see what assets are within that, via another file coming in or another series of data coming in. Does that make sense?
And it's totally doable. You just need to have the location where the lightning strike, and then you can create, as you said, the ISO line depending on the distance that you want to know. And also, well, if you want to know, like, I don't know, like other assets like electricity pole, is it called? Yeah. So you can, like having that information, so you will be which one will be affected. And also, I'd like to share with you on the last minute, but this is really helpful for the questions you just made, Jim. We have this that we call Studio, where you can create all the information you have, and you can put it in GeoJSON. You can create any kind of map that you can do in any other like HIS. You can create it. You can add lines and points and polygons. Just bring your information and you can display it in here, and it will tell you like everything that you have in your table, all the information you have, it will be displayed in here. And the great thing about it is that you can just publish it, use it like a URL, like a web page, and also you can use it like a copy and paste it into your script for the, I don't know, like the page that you are creating or the cell phone app. Copy and display.
I want to know if that means that you can create custom data types.
Sorry?
The last comment we have here is from Minhaj, who just posted it while you were talking about Here Studio. He wants to know if that means that you can create custom data types.
No, you just can create the map. You have to bring all the information that you have, all the layers. You just upload it in here on a GeoJSON format, and you will have your map available and ready to publish or to be shared with other people or on your app.
Good deal, Jim. I think that does it from our end. Please feel free to reach out to me and Alonso. We're both on LinkedIn. You can email us. His email is the same as mine, just alonso.victal. Yeah, we'll just connect with you guys. If you have any questions going forward, if you think of anything,
Yeah, fantastic. No, this was a great presentation again, Austin, and definitely want to say thank you for joining in your different time zones and everything else. And let's see, I would use, if anybody does have any questions, go ahead and either come off mute and ask, or just post it here. I've got one that says, don't you guys have some moderation pattern based on which we can have a verified map location published? Like not anyone can publish any map location. It sounds like there's some kind of a maybe security like questions or considerations around that. Is that kind of what you're getting at, Abdul? Yeah. So I guess question on that, Alonso, is security requirements around creating those maps in Studio.
You will be the owner of the map, so it will be your option to be published, since this is created for creating a website or an app. It will be like published for everybody. But if you want to keep it for yourself, you can use it and not publishing it until you click on the publish icon. It will be remain for yourself.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for these guys before we call it a day and get back to our work? I've got one request for everybody. I've got 3 people with videos on. Turn your cameras on, your webcams on, and let's get a screenshot of everybody who has joined us today. Hey, thanks, Francis. I appreciate that. Looking great over there. All right, thanks, Sam. DP, come on. I know that you've got a webcam. Who else wants to join? I'm going to give you 10 seconds and I'll take a screenshot. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
I know Alban's got one.
4, 3, 2,
No way.
1. Let's go ahead and snap this. Here we go. All right. I'm going to post this on our Houston website, our Houston Meetup group, just to kind of have a record of what everybody's doing today. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Austin and team, for sharing this great information. And man, I hope you guys have a great day. We're going to try and have our next Houston MuleSoft. It'll probably be towards the end of the month, or well, actually probably towards the beginning of April. And looking forward to seeing people face to face.
All the online mobile.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a great one.